Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Good afternoon, good day, good morning, good night, whenever you're listening to us. Have a good whatever it is. Welcome once again to another episode of Midnight's Edge After Dark. I am your Chief Carnival Barker and Narrator Supreme, Mr. Rob Robot Shlomo. As always, from Shabby Road Studios. And with me, as always, is my partner in crime, but only in a platonic way, Mr. Tom Connors.
Hello, sir. How are you doing?
Oh, I am doing fantastic. And, if migraine sufferers out there, I feel for you because I've been dealing with one for the last 3 days. I get what's called barometric migraines, and they're not fun. So anyway.
Oh, yeah, my allergies have been acting up to it. Just 'tis the season. Not just the holiday season. 'Tis the allergy, sinus, cold.
Yes.
Season.
The time of year when all the windows and the doors and get sealed up tight and you're just trapped with all the dust and pollen. So it's not fun. But anyway, we are going to transition into something that is fun, and that is the weekend box office. Tom, Justice League kind of took it on the chin, didn't it?
I know you were planning on seeing it, and you didn't get a chance to.
Damn migraine.
I saw it, and my review is posted down below. And, of course, Andre's post-mortem video / review, however you want to look at it, is also coming soon. So we won't get too much into the movie, but yeah, needless to say, Justice League really didn't do nearly as well as they thought, and we will get into that just a little bit more. I think we're just gonna do it backwards this time, a little different than we normally do, just so we can talk about Justice League at the end here. So at number 10 was the latest film in the Saw series with $1 million. Then coming in at number 9 was These Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri with $1.1 million, and that is a big deal because that is a very small release on only 53 screens. So
seems like it would be an oddly specific kind of titled movie. It'd be a very, very narrow audience.
It's Oscar season, so you're going to see a lot of these pop up like this. And another example is right here, Lady Bird, which added another 201 screens to its originally 37 screens and brought in $2.5 million. And its revenue is going up, of course, as you can see on the screen there. Bad Moms Christmas came in at 7 with $7 million, bringing its haul to 51. Not too bad for a sequel with a lot of competition right now. At number 6 was the new release The Star from Sony, which brought in $9 million. That only has a $20 million budget, so that's not a horrible haul for that film. Murder on the Orient Express came in at number 5, dropping down from number 3 last week with $13.8 million. I heard there's rumors already of a sequel for that, so that must be doing good enough for them at this moment in time, which it is, I guess, because it's already made about $51 million stateside, and it only has a $55 million budget, surprisingly, with that cast. Probably a lot of back end, I bet.
Well, I've never read any of the Agatha Christie murder mysteries, but from what I know, Hercules Poirot is sort of a recurring character. So.
Right, and the next one has something to do with the Nile. I can't remember the title offhand. But anyway, Daddy's Home 2 came in at number 4, dropping from the second spot with $14.4 million. Thor finally dropped out of the number 1 spot, all the way down to number 3, surprisingly, with 21.6, but don't worry, that film climbed over the $700 million mark on the overall worldwide box office, so doing very well, poised to probably hit damn near that $1 billion mark, probably not quite though. Coming in at number 2 is the brand new film from Lionsgate called Wonder with $27 million, and of course the one that we've been waiting to talk about, Justice League, with $93.8 million, the lowest opening for a DC movie in the DC universe.
Man, all those Marvel shills, man. All the shills from Marvel, man. All the shills, they're totally keeping people away from the theaters, man.
Let's put this in a little bit of perspective. This is almost the same exact amount that the original Guardians of the Galaxy made. This is roughly $10 million less than Wonder Woman made on its opening weekend as well. So you're looking at a situation where this should have done, I mean, the original estimates, and I don't want to get too much into it because this is in Andre's video, so the original estimates were roughly around 150, then they dropped them down to 130, then it kept going down till about 110. Everybody's like, oh, it's going to open in between 110 in that area till Friday night.
Yeah. A lot of people are going to be saying, "Oh, well, how can you call $98 million a failure?" But like I said, the expectation was just so much higher. Well, 93. Yeah, 93. I'm sorry. Yeah, I originally read 98, but then they dropped it down to 93.
It was originally, and then it was 96, then 94, now 93.8. So technically 94, but yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, the expectation is just so much higher and this is not just this is Superman, this is Batman, this is Wonder Woman, this is the Flash, this is not so much Cyborg, but he didn't come along until later. But this is like the DC heavy hitters,
the cream of the crop.
This is this is like the 27 Yankees of comic book movies, really.
Oh yeah, and like I said, we're not going to get into the what happened and the what so much. I didn't think the movie was horrible, but I didn't think it was great. Like most people, there's a few people who are just like insanely in love with it. There's a few people who are just like, I've had enough of this shit. I'm done. I'm out. Peace. And I get both angles of it because it's. I know I don't want to get into too much because, like I said, Rob hasn't seen it yet, and I'm sure some of you listeners, obviously a lot of you listeners out there haven't seen it yet. It is the best Super Friends movie you're ever gonna see.
It's coming from the halls of justice.
The
Super
monkey
Friends
and the twins, but
and the dog and Marvin and the other one. And
yeah.
Okay. Listen. Here's the thing. Okay, I don't want to hear there's superhero fatigue, comic book movie fatigue, because we just saw Thor Ragnarok do gangbusters.
Right.
Okay. And now I haven't seen it, but we are seeing Justice League lag significantly behind. It's not all comic book movies. It's not all superhero movies. Okay. And I think, didn't we say this at one point?
We did a whole
I probably
video,
said at one
I think,
point
on the whole superhero fatigue thing, if that's what you mean, but yeah.
Yeah, we said at some point that Warner Brothers is in this bizarre position where they have to keep proving themselves to their audience. No, we promise it's going to be different this time. We're going to be different this time. It's going to be different this time. You're going to love this one. This is going to be the one. And at some point, the audience is going to say, I've had enough. Listen, you've had your chance. That's it. And I think we're not that far off from seeing that.
They had a contingency plan, and we've talked about this for the last few months, to where if this movie did exactly what they were afraid it was going to do, and it did, that they were going to either completely reboot the universe or they were going to go off into this singularity universe to where it's not all connected anymore. Obviously, we're still going to get Wonder Woman 2. That's in the pipeline. There is still talks about the Suicide Squad 2 and stuff like that, so that's still possibly all happening. We'll have to see what happens going forward. But that reset button that they've been waiting on for Justice League, for Flash, as far as what's going to happen there as Flashpoint goes, that reset button is pretty close to being pushed, I think, at this point.
The finger's hovering right over the button.
And there's news coming out about Kevin Sujihara being either ousted or whatever, or I'm sure they're calling him to step down, because a lot of what happened here they are putting on his shoulders because he mandated the 2-hour running time, which I'll tell you right now, it was nice to see half the movie. I can't wait to see the other half.
They said, you know what, they overcorrected, they course corrected, but I think they probably overcorrected.
And frankly, it became a lot of what a lot of us feared it was going to be. A Frankenstein of a movie. It's all green screen. It feels like a TV pilot. I said it on the Facebook group as a joke, but it's fucking true. It's the best animated film of the year. Because everything is animated in it. The only parts that are like real people are when they actually are acting, and they're still in front of green screens 90% of the time. And then there was the whole thing about Henry Cavill's mustache and being removed, and it looks horrible. It looks horrible. I mean, it was nice to see a more Superman-type character, but there's more. I'm going to get into this when we actually do a roundtable, so...
Diminishing returns. That's the appropriate...
Exactly. Wonder Woman is a fluke. That's basically it. That's the only thing going forward that they have any guarantees.
Well, we know what direction they're going in, so like I said, they're going to run Wonder Woman to the ground now, so... But anyway, like I said, I haven't seen it yet. Hopefully, I'll be able to see it this week. Hopefully at a bargain showing. I don't want to pay $13 to see this, I'll be honest with you.
I wouldn't either. I mean, you may enjoy certain... I did enjoy a lot of aspects of it. Don't get me wrong. I didn't mean to go through that long bitch fest there without saying, there are a lot of goods in it. It has its moments. Don't get me wrong, but like I said, it's just too much too late. basically.
Yeah. Well, like I said, so
yeah,
anyway.
we've got main stories.
Yeah, we got a little bit more. We got more stuff to get to.
Speaking of cinematic universes and superheroes, and yeah, we've been kind of keeping up with this story quite a bit here at the channel, where Disney was for a while in talks to purchase portions of 21st Century Fox Entertainment, not including the network, the news network, a few of the cable channels, including FX, FX2, and of course their sports networks.
Yeah, Fox Sports 1 being the big, big sports network, which is it.
So of course we've talked about a few other hats being thrown into this. This has been, obviously this is a really hot commodity. People are after it. Now, a lot of reports up to this point have been reporting that, X-Men and whatever could cross over with Spider-Man and all this kind of stuff. If Sony buys, Fox, then we'll see a team up there. That might not necessarily be true, Rob.
No, according to what we've been able to find, what Tom's been able to find, is that no matter who buys Fox, Sony, Paramount, Universal, whoever, just throw your name, even just like it's even the Kamikaze Brothers Studios or whatever. The rights to those characters would indeed revert to Marvel. The deal apparently that was struck was that at the time when Marvel sold off those movie rights, they sold them off to the particular studio and only that studio. If someone else comes along and buys them, then that becomes null and void. In all fairness, though, Slash Film is saying since the contracts are not public, they have no way of knowing. That information was sent to them by a reader. It would be a smart move if Marvel had in fact done this. Like I said, we're taking this with a grain of salt.
This had not been part of any of the reports prior to this. And this report specifically points out that they just got this information themselves. So theoretically, if this is how the contract reads, then, well, yeah, this kind of throws a bit of a kink into certain things, and it also opens things up for Disney to where they can just kind of kick back at this point if they wanted to. Like, all right, go ahead, buy it, because the moment they buy it, the moment Kamikaze Studios signs those papers, Disney, aka Marvel, theoretically gets the rights back to X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Deadpool.
And think about all the side characters that also entails. Doctor Doom, the Silver Surfer, Galactus, the Skrulls.
Yeah, it should almost be pointed out Silver Surfer, because he is a major character, yeah.
Yeah. Even Alpha Flight, really, the New Mutants, the Power Pack. There's a lot of characters here in that grouping. Like I said, this puts Disney really in the driver's seat, to the point where if they wanted to spend the money, it's more
for the catalog.
If they want to spend the money to get everything back together in one place, they could, but at the same time, they could just say to another studio, like I said, yeah, you want it? Go ahead, go for it, sucker.
So, this is one interesting aspect of this, because Universal has now thrown their hat into the ring, which, of course, I think is connected with the whole Comcast thing, which is the parent company of Universal, yeah. So, we reported this on our last episode, so this is not new news, but the new news to this is, and one thing we've always wondered, was where these characters stood if there was a sale. So, theoretically, if Disney were to turn around and buy Fox, they get the catalog, they get the rights back to the characters regardless, but some people are afraid if Disney gets the rights to Deadpool, what the hell's going to happen? Because Kevin Feige said, he's not.
Nothing is going to happen. Yeah.
Kevin Feige has said he's never going to make anything more than a PG-13 Marvel movie, and that's understandable. But there's always that but. There has been the Netflix shows, which are obviously basically R-rated if they were movies, and you also have a situation where if they actually buy Fox, there's more of a reason to that than just the catalog and all that kind of stuff. They can continue to release movies as 20th Century Fox. And only you and I know this. The general public is never going to know. As far as they know, it's still 20th Century Fox. Because you can't sit there and tell me that if Disney buys Fox, they're going to turn around and just kill Fox, never use it again, and it's just going to go into the back corner somewhere and we'll never hear about it. Why would you do that? That makes zero sense.
Yeah, Fox will just become another arm of Disney.
Exactly. And much like Touchstone and Miramax and Dimension before it, it will continue to pretty much function as it is on its own as an entity and produce films as they have. Disney is not going to step in and screw up Deadpool. If that happens, if they buy Fox, they're not going to do it. They're going to use Fox to continue to release Deadpool as R-rated films over there. They like money. They're not going to screw that up. I really don't see that happening. And as far as the X-Men, I'm sure they're going to turn around and try and figure out how to bring the X-Men into the fold at some point into the Marvel Universe. Same thing possibly with Fantastic Four. I'm sure Silver Surfer, because they've wanted to get their hands on Doctor Doom, Silver Surfer, and a few other characters for a while now. This is not new news. But the new news, of course, as we said, is that Disney could just, in theory, kick back, let somebody else buy Fox, and just wait for the rights to be reverted back to them in this instance.
Yeah.
There's also, I mean, like I said, unless there's some solid evidence on it, there's a possibility that Marvel didn't have that stipulation. They weren't that powerful at that time.
No.
Back when they sold the rights to Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men, all this stuff, they were desperate. They were on the verge of bankruptcy, and I'm sure that they had very little control over what went into the contracts. So then when it came to that point when the comic book boom happened, especially after X-Men and Spider-Man, they're like, well, we got something here, let's do something with it. And they decided, like you said, to make the Avengers going forward, starting with Iron Man, because they started with their biggest heavy hitters as they could. Universal, on the other hand, had a license to Hulk, so they had to work out a deal with Universal in that aspect, and all the other movies were released through Paramount up until the Disney sale, which was during the Avengers, if I'm not mistaken. So you have then this change in ownership. From that point on, all the films have been released by Disney, except for if Hulk, they decide to make a standalone Hulk movie with Hulk in the title, it has to be released through Universal, is my understanding. Other than that, they can use the Hulk. It doesn't matter as long as it doesn't have Hulk in the title. That's why we didn't get a Planet Hulk movie anyway.
Yeah, well, Ragnarok is pretty much a Hulk movie.
Well, right.
Anyway,
that's what I'm saying. That's why they just kind of did that, yeah.
So, okay. But anyway, that's the word from that front. So, again, if true, Disney's in a better position than we think.
And it makes sense for Disney to come back with another offer if this is the case. Because we've said it before. Not only do you have a situation where they have another company under them, they have the catalog, the Star Wars films are finally all under the same roof.
Well, another thing too is that it devalues the sale price. Hey, you're selling this, and the one thing that you want is not going to be in the terms of the deal. So hey, you want to sell it to
Well, this
Sony,
is probably why their
Universal?
talks broke down too, because at that point they're like, why should we give you any more than this? We're going to get those back whether you sell it to us or not. Yeah, is what you're saying basically. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, and knowing what is in the would be part of the deal. Like you said, if I'm like a studio could come along, hey, listen, I'm not going to pay this if I'm not getting these characters, so I might as well take and go sell it to Disney anyway.
Because they have plenty of properties without those Marvel characters. Don't get us wrong. They've got Predator, which we're going to talk about here in a little bit. They've got Alien. They've got a few others. So they're not like some of these other companies where they don't have jack shit to offer. They have IPs that are under their ownership, so that those things will go with in themselves. On the other hand, though, speaking of, we have another situation that could hinder a sale like this in the near future. Rob and I come across another story about the AT&T deal.
Yes, apparently that has been in jeopardy. The United States Justice Department is suing to block the merger of AT&T and Time Warner. So,
we're not going to get into this too much, but
yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack here with the court filings. But the main thrust of this is the Justice Department says this would be bad for consumers. It would raise prices because Time Warner is actually also a cable company. They're an internet provider in a lot of the country, and so is AT&T. And the big fear is there being too much of the ISP business consolidated in one place. That is the big That is one of the big fears.
One
of the big fears, yeah. And as far as antitrust laws go, well, like I said, there's a lot to unpack. You can look. You can find it on the news, many of the news outlets. We don't like covering politics here, but this is sort of relevant because, like I said, because Warner Brothers, Time Warner, it's sort of the entertainment side of it. AT&T is also an ISP provider, and they get their hands on a very large amount of content with a merger. So there's another concern.
Well, they have DirecTV, and already Warner Brothers, in anticipation of this, in goodwill, or however you want to put it, sold off Time Warner Cable. So that when this merger went through, there wouldn't be a conflict of interest, and also it's illegal to own, so much things as far as television networks and all that stuff goes. But regardless, point being, they were set up for this. This didn't seem to like it was going to be an issue until recently. Things have come to light as far as the president and certain concerns over CNN and whether or not this I don't want to beat around the bush too much because people say they hate it when we do, but basically there is a possibility that there's a personal reason behind this with the president more so than the actual
deal. I mean, one of the stipulations originally was that CNN had to be sold as a part of,
which is just makes no sense.
Yeah.
So this is just it, because there's been deals like this that have happened in the past. Personally, these mergers I don't like them usually, but it all depends on the circumstances at hand. This is something that is kind of a win-win for a lot of people. There are valid points, though, as far as what you had brought up prior to when we got into the whole political aspect of it. Those are valid points, but there's also valid points that have been made in argument to those as well. So this is one of those things where the reason we're bringing it up, let's put it this way, is because this could hinder a Fox sale. Because if this doesn't go through, this is going to give a lot of these bigger companies cold feet when it comes to merging or buying out any of these major media companies in the future going forward. So this could really dampen that aspect of this going forward. So we may not even see a Fox sale as soon as we thought now, simply because of this is what we're bringing it up for.
Yeah. So, like I said, there are a lot better news sources that will cover this. And please refer yourself to one of those. Right. We're primarily entertainment. We don't want
a bunch of political shit in the comments, guys. That's why we didn't really even want to get into this story. This is not what we're here for. We're not into that. We try to keep our political views out of the show. So let's try and keep your guys' political views out of the comments. Just talk movies and stuff. That's what we're here for.
Yeah. And speaking of talking movies, what else we got? I believe, isn't it time for the roundup?
I believe it is, sir.
Well, buckaroos, I want you to saddle up that horse and put some ointment on your saddle sores because it's time for the roundup. Yeehaw! That just gets worse every time.
Why did I get a mule?
So, Predator4movie.com.
Speaking of Predator,
they said there's been test screenings, and the reactions are now online. You can actually head over there. We actually went to that site, and we just got this story from this. 20th Century Fox have reportedly begun test screening Shane Black's The Predator, or aka Predator 4, to select audiences, and today those reactions to those screenings have hit the internet. Ultimately, the reviews seem rather mixed. Some enjoyed the film, but those who did not enjoy it really detested it. Sounds interesting. Those who enjoyed the film admitted it took some time to get accustomed to the comedic tone of the film, but those who disliked it complained that the plot was a radical departure from established Predator mythologies. And they have a video detailing those rundowns of fan reactions. I wasn't really aware that there was a huge Predator mythology.
Well,
but
there kind of is. Have you seen any other than the first one, Rob? Or?
First and the second.
Okay.
That's about it.
This kind of does make me scared as a Predator fan. I'm not like a huge Predator fan, but I know there's a Predator fan base out there. The last film was fairly well received and did all right. The AVP films, on the other hand, not so much.
Yeah, they do bring up Predator a lot on Archer. he's always, you're looking for Predator, aren't you? He's invisible. He has a telltale shimmer, Lana.
Well, and the original film is a classic, don't get us wrong. The second film is a classic in its own right as well. This kind of scares me if they're deviating away from... I mean, what could they do, really? And that's what I'm kind of like, why and how far? Because, I mean, you've got a pretty straightforward creature here. I mean, let's face it, it's Terminator, only it's an alien, really. And that's kind of scary. I don't know how well that's going to do then if that's the case. We have another case here where they're taking too many liberties with the situation. And I thought Shane Black would have been perfect for this. Shane Black, of course, I think wrote on the original film, and he was also one of the actors in the film. He also worked on movies like Lethal Weapon and stuff like that. And, of course, Iron Man 3 he directed. He's very well known for this kind of genre. The humor doesn't surprise me so much because Shane Black is known as a very humorous writer and mixing in humor with the action. Being that there's a lot of people who are upset with the tone, that does kind of give me some pause.
All I want to know is, will there be a tribute to Jesse the Body Ventura?
Get to the chopper!
Oh,
I'm
anyway,
not in this movie. That's what's wrong with it.
Anyway, more news. Actually, we just talked about Warner Brothers. Harley Quinn. DC Digital Services has ordered a animated series about Harley Quinn. And,
not to be confused with the romance novels. Wah, wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, that's a bad joke for comic book fans.
This and it's actually going to be going to involve the Powerless trio. And this comes from Deadline. Harley Quinn is closely associated with Margot Robbie, whose portrayal of the nurse who falls for the Joker was a major bright spot in Suicide Squad. I hear Robbie's at the top of Warner Brothers' wish list for actresses to voice the title character in the animated series and is expected to be approached for the gig. Harley Quinn, which also will feature Poison Ivy and a whole new set of heroes and villains, old and new, for the DC Universe, is the third series to be greenlit for the new DC digital platform operated by Warner Brothers Digital Networks Group. Joining live-action titans from Greg Berlanti, Akiva Goldsman, Jeff Johns, Sarah Schechter, and the anticipated revival of the cult animated series Young Justice. Akiva Goldsman's doing everything nowadays.
Is that the next Idris Elba?
Probably, yeah. Yeah, Akiva Goldsman. No, that's Tom Rothman. But anyway. Written and executive produced by Halpern, Schumacher, and Laurie, Harley Quinn, based on the DC characters, focuses on Harley Quinn, who finally has broken things off with the Joker once and for all, and attempts to make it on her own.
What fucking fun is that?
As the criminal queenpin of Gotham City. The project is still in the works, so the featured image, you can find the featured images at Deadline, is development art, and the series eventually might look different. Okay, well, it's another thing that does this work without the main character, really? And are we going to just be waiting for Batman and the Joker to show up in this?
Yeah. I don't know. Because I saw I don't know if you got to see it, Rob, but I saw the Harley Quinn Batman movie here that came out here early this year, which I do have my review of, and I'll probably throw the link in down below.
You said a 90-second fart joke.
Yeah. No, really? It was more than that, actually. Or, yeah, it was about roughly that. Yeah. This joke, the whole movie is like, that's an epitome of the whole movie. It's like, what were they thinking? I mean, the campy 60s Batman's one thing, but this was just, yeah.
Hey, kids like fart jokes, right? That's...
I don't know. It's gotten to a point where it's starting to make me question some of the people that work at Warner Brothers Animation, and I used to go like, oh, those are the people who should be running the movies. Not anymore.
Well, speaking of questionable, the long-awaited Gambit movie is actually finding another co-star. Lizzie Kaplan is in talks to co-star in Fox's Gambit. This comes from Deadline. Masters of Sex, giggity, alum Lizzie Kaplan is in talks to join Channing Tatum in Gambit, the X-Men spin-off that has Gore Verbinski directing from a script by Josh Zetumer. 20th Century Fox is releasing the film on February 14th, 2019, so we got a while away for that. Created by Chris Claremont and Jim Lee in 1990, Gambit, Remy LeBeau, has the ability to charge matter with a volatile kinetic energy. Kaplan, who also appears in A24's James Franco-directed film The Disaster Artist and co-stars Michael Pena in the sci-fi film Extinction, is rep by WME. So, okay.
Actually,
no word on who Kaplan will play.
That's not that far out, actually. That's only a year.
About a year. If you think about it, I mean, we're almost in. It's almost New Year's.
And you know what? All this news, and because this is like what, the third or fourth casting news that we've covered here, third or fourth new cast member we've covered here on the show. This tells me this shit's actually happening.
Yeah, or at least they're telling people it's happening.
It's if they've got a date that close and they're announcing all these cast members, it's happening. That means they start filming. Yes, did you not say they start filming here in January?
No, actually, no, we're almost into January. So
yeah, I'm assuming that's when they're going to start filming, if anything.
Yeah.
If they're casting now, basically, or December, January. I wouldn't think they would start during Christmas, but whatever. So, it's Hollywood, so who fucking knows?
Yeah.
It's happening, guys. This is it, I guess. I mean...
So, anyway, I have more casting news. Tom, who's the black private dick who's the sex machine with all the chicks?
I didn't think we were supposed to talk about that on the air. Oh, Shaft.
I can dig it. Alexander Shipp is in final negotiations to join Samuel L. Jackson and Richard Roundtree in Shaft. And this comes to us from Deadline. Alexander Shipp, who was in X-Men Apocalypse and Straight Outta Compton, is in final negotiations as the female lead in the reboot of Shaft from director Tim Story and producers John Davis and Kenya Barris. Shipp joined Samuel L. Jackson and Richard Roundtree, who starred in the original, and Jesse T. Usher. The production goes before the cameras next month.
And I don't know if you can really call this a reboot, because the Shaft movie with Samuel Jackson, who is also in this, he was the nephew to the original Shaft, who was still a character in those movies. So that would be a continuing story, actually, because this is supposed to be his son now. Samuel L. Jackson's son.
Yeah. We're going to call it Shaft Generations?
Maybe. You can get the Shat in it.
No. Well, anyway, speaking of generations, now that has nothing to do with generations.
I can dig
it. But anyway, one person who won't be appearing at the Golden Globes is William Shatner, but Seth Meyers will be hosting the Golden Globes.
You never know,
this year.
though. He might be there.
Yeah, you never know if you're into award shows. So if you like Seth Meyers, he's going to be hosting.
Be there, but
he might be there.
There's probably free beer. He'll probably be there.
Probably.
At least we know now we can put one internet meme to rest, or at least two anyway. One, that is Charlie Manson's getting out of prison, and two, that Charlie Manson's dead because Charlie Manson's finally dead. Thank God. That shit's done and over with. That's one thing we don't have to worry about clogging up our Facebook feed anymore.
Nobody's gonna. We finally have an answer to the question. Hey, when do you think Charlie Manson's getting out of jail?
So. Right? Well, I am so sick of every, once a month, I swear there's either a Charlie Manson died or Charles Manson's getting out of prison jail fake story or meme or whatever up there. Somebody's trying to pass on that fake news, just like all these fake deaths all the other times. But okay, that's one that's finally out of the way and done with. This one, though, is kind of sad. We do have some sad news to report. Earl Hyman, the actor who played Bill Cosby's dad on The Cosby Show and is obviously the grandfather to the kids. He passed away at the age of 91. So he lived a nice, long life. So it's sad to see him go. He was a very good actor. He's been in a lot of other things too, but I'm sure you know who I'm talking about, Rob.
Oh, yeah. I remember seeing during the Lillehammer Olympics, actually, I remember seeing him doing a feature. He actually... And this will interest Andre. He actually did spend a lot of time in Norway.
No.
He was actually an actor in Norway for a while. He performed, I believe, Hamlet, and I believe there was Othello actually in Norway at the National Theater. I have to double check on that, but he was actually a very accomplished actor. Had a very long career.
Mm-hmm. Very distinctable.
Yes, very, very distinctive voice. Very rich speaking voice. And sad to see someone like that leave us.
Yeah.
Sadly, we had another loss in the entertainment world. Della Reese from Touched by an Angel has left us at the age of 86. But we never like to end on a down note. We would like to end on an up note. And there's people celebrating birthdays on this day, on November 20th, when we're recording this. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actress Ming-Na Wen turns 54, and she looks fabulous. She really does.
Yeah, she's one of the best parts of the show. Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. Vice President Joe Biden turns 75 today. Musician Joe Walsh, former Eagle, former founding member of the James Gang, turns 70. And the star of 10 and Tommy Boy, Bo Derek, turns 61. And that's what's happening. And as always, as we always say, if you like what we do, if you like what's happening, if you like the channel, then please hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon. That way you're notified of all the latest content that's uploaded, and subscribe to the main channel as well, and hit that bell icon over there. And if you really like the channel, you like what we do, then why not consider supporting us through Patreon if you have the means. Patreon supporters will get all kinds of bonuses and exclusives, lost episodes, outtakes, bloopers, special behind the scenes making of the Edge videos. You will get uncut audio. You will get early notice for when mini documentaries drop. You'll get all kinds of bonuses and bonus content for supporting us. And if you don't have the means to support us through Patreon, then please subscribe and share the living shit out of this video, please.
Yes, please.
So anyway, this week is Thanksgiving. We will most likely be back with maybe one more show before then. But if you're listening in the United States, then have yourself a happy and safe Thanksgiving. No drinking, no driving. Don't overeat too much. That tryptophan coma is really a doozy.
Right. But
yeah, take care of yourselves. Take care of everybody. Give thanks. And for everybody who's outside the United States, be thankful anyway.
We're going to have plenty of content for you coming up, though, so you'll have lots to watch. I mean, there's a lot of new stuff right now you may not have even caught up yet with, so, yeah.
So, yes. So, like I said, we're going to have plenty of content coming for you. And if you haven't check out the new Trek log we just posted this past week. Yeah, that's a lot of fun. But anyway, so we're going to be signing off for you one more time. I am Mr. Rob Robot Shlomo, and you are... Thank you very much for listening. Have yourself a happy and safe Thanksgiving, and we will see you next time.